All right, so let's talk about this really quick. We're going to get a little bit serious here. I know I've been talking about Ash a lot, but we're going to get a little bit serious here, okay? So, as you guys may know, I am also within the Gypsy Rose Blanchard drama. And if you guys don't know, the Good Wives Network, Fancy Miss Sally, she actually was the one that initiated not a reality show, but more of like a documentary series for Gypsy, and she's really close to this case. So if you don't know who she is, definitely go and watch her videos. I will take her down below. And also, before we start, shoot me a follow. This is my backup page, Tea Time with Trippy, and we talk about pretty much whatever the fuck we want on this page, including Gypsy Rose Blanchard. So there is new research that Fancy Miss Sally has done in regards to Gypsy's chromosomal disorder. If you guys don't know, Gypsy does have a chromosomal disorder, and that was and is why she faces a lot of challenges in life, or has in the past. Now, if you ask Gypsy and, you know, the people that have wanted this to be solely Dee Dee's fault, as far as accusing her of having Munchausen syndrome by proxy, when she was never diagnosed with that. You can't diagnose somebody by looking at notations from her daughter's doctors, because that's a psychological disorder, and in order to diagnose somebody psychologically, they have to be alive, and you have to be able to speak with them and communicate with them. So that's why we all say that Dee Dee did not have Munchausen syndrome by proxy. She was never diagnosed with it. Gypsy herself can't even diagnose her with it. But Fancy did a little research and found out that the chromosomal, because she has a specific chromosomal disorder, it's 1q21.2, I believe. I may be wrong. I apologize. But the first case of this chromosomal disorder was in 2008. Gypsy's positive result for this chromosomal disorder was in 2011, thus proving that Dee Dee Blanchard, Gypsy Rose's mother, was going through tests trying to figure out what was wrong with her daughter. I'm sure a doctor at one point told her she may be a paraplegic, simply because they didn't know what was going on with her. They also may have told her that her daughter could possibly have cancer while they were testing. And yes, some things were exaggerated to the point that they were getting treatment for it, but a lot of what the treatments, or a lot of what the tests were for the doctors, were medically necessary. They were trying to figure out her teeth. They were trying to figure out her voice. They were trying to figure out her eyes. And in 2011, when a doctor said, hey, let's have it tested for this because it's a rare condition, they tested it and she was positive. And in 2011 is when all of her shenanigans started. So you can't make us believe that her mother did not tell her, hey, this is what's wrong with you, sweetie. We now know. You don't need the wheelchair anymore. And the only thing we need to look into is your larynx, because you have a squeaky voice and it could cause issues down the line. And the minute Gypsy heard that, she started rebelling. She started, talking to men online. She started, running away. She can make you guys believe that she didn't have a rebellious teenagehood all she wants. But let me tell you, she did more than the average teenager did within that 3 or 4 years than I'm sure most teenagers all put together ever did. She ran away from home. She had boyfriends that were older than her. She had secret accounts. She literally did what a teenager does, until her mother tried to be a mother to her and say, we don't go about it that way. We don't do things that way. And I think that's what she got frustrated on. And also the fact that her mother did have a lot of medical needs at that time. And I think that her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, basically told her, sweetie, you're going to have to take care of me because I took care of you for so long. You're going to have to take care of me. And I don't think Gypsy liked that. I think Gypsy saw that house as a prison in her eyes. And I think she just didn't want any parental guidance. I also fully believe that her chromosomal disorder does cause her a little bit of delay mentally. Not to say that she's severely mentally delayed or that she is in any way like incoherent of her life choices, because she 100% is. She's proved that over and over again. But for her to sit there and say basically that her mom knew about the chromosomal disorder and she was just exaggerating the symptoms is now disproven. So again, as things start coming out, as all this starts coming out, the more she stays in the spotlight, the harder it's going to be on her and her whole family. I tell you, the minute she shuts up and fades into the oblivion is the moment her life is going to get better, because then there's not going to be any more lies to keep track of. But people are going to steadily keep coming out. And people are going to steadily keep discovering different things. And this discovery itself makes it 100% clear that her mother was trying to figure out what was wrong with her daughter. Now, to say she may have been overbearing and maybe a little overprotective, okay, I give it. But you cannot tell me that Gypsy was in that whole loop the whole entire time and that she suffered, because I don't see it. Like, a little part of me is kind of like, maybe, there was a little emotional damage there, verbal abuse, even some physical. I mean, mother-daughters it can happen, but you don't see it. Like, look at all the pictures, look at the videos, all of this stuff that has come out from like family and her own documentaries. I just don't see it. And you can't tell me that Gypsy killed her mom because she was scared. You can't. Because she knew about everything. She knew what her chromosomal disorder, that tells us why she started rebelling, because she found out what was wrong with her. She said it to Aaliyah in her messages that they found out what was wrong with her. And she's doing better and she's stable. I just think it's a hole that she's burying herself in, that more and more people are just going to start seeing it for what it is. It's in black and white right in front of you. And I know people are going to argue and say, well, in the medical records it says her mother, her mother, her mother. Well, of course. Her mother wanted to make sure that things were done correctly for her daughter. And she also, again, she may have exaggerated some things, but there was no unnecessary treatment. There was solely treatment to find out what was wrong with her daughter, which it turned out to be a chromosomal disorder that Fancy Miss Sally suspects comes from Rod Blanchard's bloodline. Even though Rod don't have it, it comes from his bloodline. Hence why people are terrified for her daughter, because since Gypsy's mom wanted to find out what was wrong with her, is she then gonna neglect actually finding out what's wrong with her daughter if something does end up being wrong with her daughter? I don't know.